Testing, testing.
Is it going?
Testing, testing. If I were leader of the free world, the first issue I would address is proper schooling. There are so many people today who do not know how to read or write or add or subtract. Even spelling their own name is a task that many adults struggle with. The reason is that a lot of people do not have access to adequate schooling programs or any school at all. Even where adequate schools exist, there is often no guarantee that people can afford them. According to Wikipedia, in Africa alone, over 120 million kids do not attend any form of school at all. Also, before the U.S. invasion of Afghanistan, there were almost no girls being educated at all. Today, there are over 2.5 million girls being schooled in Afghanistan. I believe every single person has a right to go to school. They should spend at least a few years in a school, whether they can afford it or not. Now, one solution is both free schools, where all children can go to learn. However, that costs money, which is something that every government lacks. I suggest 3 solutions to raise money. If I were the president, then I would use more money collected by taxes to build schools, pay teachers, and buy chalk and slate and other simple school supplies. I would also encourage corporations to donate funds to support education. If a company sets up a factory, for example, the company has to help build and fund a school in that area. They must commit to funding the school for several years. My third solution is to set up a worldwide scholarship system, asking companies and wealthy people to sponsor students in poor areas. After my schools have been built, I need people to teach. In poor areas, I would have leaders pick a few young men and women to go to a university to learn how to teach. After they receive their degree, they can go back to these areas and teach in the schools that I built. That allows women who are not allowed to be educated to be taught along with men. On top of all of that, the young people who get their educational degree can make a decent salary. Now, depending on what type of school the teacher decides to teach at, she has the possibility to get her education paid for free. The school where she is supposed to be teaching at may be a nasty school with nasty children. Nobody wants to work in an appalling school, so she can get 100% of her education paid for. My final solution is build school supply factories in a lot of the towns. It not only gives work with a decent salary, it provides work with a decent salary. That is a very good solution because you wouldn't need to pay for the delivery of the supplies or the workers to manage those dauntless tasks of driving trucks to deliver the supplies. Now, I would also need to set up a library system within each classroom. If a child checks out a book, takes it home, and loses it, there would be no penalty whatsoever. The reason is that if the child comes from a hard background, like a foster home with 10 other children, if I were the parent, my priority isn't to find that book. The point is to place the book in the children's hands and get them reading. But, of course, after I go the whole 9 yards to get funding, teachers, and resources, the children who I would ideally like to attend the schools might not want to go. If you ask a 15-year-old child who's never been educated at all in their life if he or she would like to go to a school, chances are they might say no. I'm probably going to need therapists to not bribe but persuade these older children to attend. You would need to tell them the quality of the school and how they can someday maybe change the world with just a good education. I believe that is the key to the future for everyone. And if I was president, of the free world, I would make sure that every child attended school. Except me, of course. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for keeping yourself on top. We'll now introduce contestant B.